Say your. Welcome again, Loyal Noodles. It's your boy Willie Knight, first of his name. Normally, I'm alongside my brothers Adam, Isaac, and Mel, my brothers from another mother, but don't let Janine tell it. But I figured we could go a step further and we could have Janine herself here to tell it. What's up, Mom? How are you?
Hey, baby. Richard.
Oh my God.
Scrag.
All right, don't do this on my show. Everyone, this is my mom. This is Janine Knight-Davis. First of her name, the absolute, the legend, the woman, the myth, the legend, all of the above. My hero. She came on. She insisted that she come on and tell her story of 9/11 and how she witnessed it and what she saw. She was obviously a lot closer than I was. She was a lot closer than my sister was. She may not have been as close and in the action as our previous guest, Mr. Matt Bilgore, as his dad, because his dad responded to the towers and whatnot. But my mom had a pretty good view of what was going on and was there panicking with the rest of the city and all of that. But I'll let her tell it. We'll get right into it. So Mom, tell us, like, tell the loyal noodles at home that are listening, like, tell us, like, what was that day like? Like, you wake up, ass crack of dawn, you're at work before the sun. You're at work a few hours by now. So where were you working? What were you doing? And then, like, just take us through the day.
Well, I'm a retired construction worker, New York City, 731. And I was on the Triborough Bridge that day. That was my job site. So like you said, I'm at work at 6 a.m. and we had already set up for what we were going to do for the day, and most of my coworkers were actually below me on the bridge. They were in a safety net underneath me while I was standing on the roadway. They were in a safety net underneath the bridge doing what they had to do, and I was up top flanking and making sure that they were safe from traffic. I had a Nextel telephone, which was a two-way radio as well as a cell phone. And my chirp went off, and it was my fiance. And he says to me, he called me Spider. I had long extensions. He says, Spider, a small plane just flew into the World Trade Center. Now, I got to go back a little bit. He's also a construction worker. He was on his job site, which was on the West Side Highway, which was blocks away from the towers. So he actually heard it and then turned around, and right away he saw it. At that time, well, once he let it sink in, he called me. When he called me and told me that, I turned around and I had a bird's eye view of the Twin Towers. I could see it from the Triborough Bridge. And I called down to my coworkers and I says, guys, a plane just flew into the World Trade Center. And they all started coming up out the net up onto the street level with me, the roadway level with me. And they're all looking towards the towers. And one of my coworkers in particular yelled, he says, they're terrorists, shoot them down, they're terrorists. So I was like, oh, knock it off, they're not terrorists. And while we were gawking at the building and the fire, without exaggeration, you could almost feel the heat. A plane is so close to us, it's like you could reach up and touch it. And we're looking up like, what the hell? And it's flying over our head. And again, this is like a movie, like slow motion. Like, are you kidding me? We're looking up at the belly of a plane. We all stood there and we watched that plane swing around and fly into the second tower. That's when I realized, yeah, this is terrorism. We're under attack. Our second thought was get off the bridge, because we were all told all along, or as New Yorkers, we look out for the soft targets, and the soft targets are the bridges, the tunnels, the subways. So now it's like, okay, get down off the bridge. They helped me pull in the lane. Let's put the cones away so to open up traffic and secure the top half, because we're definitely not coming back up there today. There's no more work today.
So at that point, y'all knew like, oh nah, we done working today. This shit,
yeah,
we gotta
and this
shut
was
this
like,
shit down. It's not even 10 o'clock yet.
No, it's not 10. It's not 10.
The first plane hit before 9.
Yeah, it was a quarter to 9 was the first plane, I believe. And I forget what, like the 9:05, whatever. I don't even know what time the second plane hit. But it's like, okay, get off this bridge. Now we're on Triborough Bridge is Randall's Island. That's when we found out that it's kind of a military installation as well, because all of the helicopters, the military helicopters, started descending on us. But again, the job site wasn't exactly secure. And being who I am, my boss specifically asked me to make sure everything was secure, make sure everything was locked, and make sure everything was safe. Meanwhile, they all left. I'm the last man standing. Oh, this is a true story. So I'm walking around and I'm making sure that
they was like, secure. Hey, y'all good, y'all got it.
No, not y'all. Not y'all. I was a one-man team, darling. It was just me. And meanwhile, they two-waying me, and you got this, you got that, everything's good. One of the bridge and tunnel officers. All right, Janine, because they knew me. All right, Janine, let's go. You tightened up. All right, you better come on, because they're shutting the bridge down. They're not letting any traffic go on the bridge. You are going to be the last one on this bridge. And I was like, okay, give me 5 more minutes and I'm out. Okay, neither here nor there. I finally finished tightening up the securing the job site. And I'm now in my car. I had the Thunderbird, Richard. My strawberry Thunderbird. But
yeah, I remember. I was just telling Nancy. I was like, I think she had the Thunderbird.
The Thunderbird, yeah. And I get in the car, and again, I am the last person on the bridge. There's nobody on I'm driving. There's nobody on the bridge with me. The entire length of the damn Triborough Bridge, nobody with me. And Michael, my fiance, your stepfather, y'all call Kitty. I don't know. I'm going to refer to him in different ways as I tell the story. He tells me, he says, me and a couple of guys are going to the buildings to see if we can help. And I says, Michael, please don't do that. Don't go to the building. You know.
Yeah, right. Those words fell on deaf ears.
Oh, forget about it. So he was insistent that he was going. I said, well, you better look for me, because I'm on my way. And I headed towards the city. As I'm going past I get to like the Brooklyn Bridge, and the cop was going to let me by. But that's when that's when the buildings collapsed. And when they collapsed, the plume of smoke and debris and the dust, it was like unbelievable. So I had to pull over and park. And when I pulled over and parked and I got out, I don't know why I got out to get into the soot. I'm on the Brooklyn side.
I'm about to say you were on the Brooklyn side.
On the Brooklyn side.
You across the water.
This is the part that people don't realize what was going on. They don't realize the extent of it. They don't even understand that the smoke and the debris and the ashes came to the Brooklyn side.
Yeah, the shit was all the way in Coney Island.
Exactly. So if I'm like right across the water on the Brooklyn side of the Brooklyn Bridge, I got a bit of that too, which means Michael was probably. I didn't even.
Getting it worse.
No, I didn't see him that day. I didn't see him. Yeah, he was definitely. We were all covered. We were all covered. I got back in the car, cleared it off, and I headed home. But before I was able to leave the bridge, I called Juliet and I told her to go get you from school because my thinking was that we were under attack and that I'm looking for tanks, machine guns, airplanes flying by, shooting and carrying on. I felt like we were under attack. We were at war, and I was like, if we're going to die, or if I'm going to die, so be it. But I don't want my kids to die alone. I want them to be together. So that's that. I mean, I hate to be morbid, but that was my thinking. Joliet, go get Richard. I want you to go to the school and get Richard. Because that's where my kids belong together. And from what I understand, she had a hard time. The schools, I thought their policy was ridiculous.
Yeah,
they were not releasing the.
Yeah, for the loyal noodles that want to hear my sister's side of the story, we've already we've done that interview. We put that out, so go check that out as well. My sister tells the story. She was freaking the fuck out when the school told her that she couldn't pick up her little brother.
I thought that was ridiculous.
I don't want to say she was being very dramatic, but
that's how she reacted.
She completely, honestly, and wholeheartedly tells the story. So go check that. So go check that out, people.
Yeah, I personally thought the school policy was ridiculous. That the kids were not going to be released to anyone but their parents. You know how many parents died in that World Trade Center?
So, and we'll get to the rest of the day. But now that you mentioned that, so again, I'm in second grade. I'm 8 years old. You know, it's not many things you remember as a kid, but this is obviously one of those things. I'll never forget. I found out because the teachers said it. You know, teachers were freaking out, crying, all this other shit. The young lady I was sitting right next to, or like kind of across from, maybe like adjacent to me, but she was like at my little group table. Her name was Esmerelda. I'll never forget her. She was a chunky little Mexican girl, as sweet as can be, like super sweetheart, really quiet, but like not like you can still talk to her and laugh and all this other shit. When the teacher said, and I don't think the teacher knew or realized or whatever, but when the teacher said like, oh, like a plane just like hit the World Trade Center or the Twin Towers, and they weren't telling us, they were talking to another teacher. And of course, we're quiet as fuck. So we're like, what the hell is going on? And she heard it and she breaks down crying. And I immediately knew why, because I knew her from first grade and kindergarten and shit. Both of her parents worked in the Twin Towers.
Wow.
And so when they said that, she knew off the rip what that mean or what that could mean. Yeah, literally right there. Later find out it was absolutely fact and true that both of her parents perished in the Twin Towers.
Wow.
Yeah, they both worked in.
Exactly. This is why. What the hell do you mean that you're not releasing these kids to anyone but their parents?
Yeah.
Why would you? Where's this? Okay, listen. This is why I'm not in charge of schools and stuff like that. Because the time that there was a bomb threat in your daycare, and they locked the daycare and don't let nobody in or out, and how you got out was your teacher lost her mind and says, "No, I have to take Richard and myself. We have to leave. Richard Davis is going with me." Okay.
Yo, and I've seen that lady like years, decades after I was in daycare. Like I'm a grown ass man, and I see her, and she'll still be like, "Oh my God, Richard, hey, how you doing? How your mom and whatnot?" Like, yo, I still see her all the time.
Karima, I think her name was. I forget what her name was, but she was not leaving that school without you. And then she's just listen. We weren't friends or nothing. I don't know what possessed her to zero in on you. She was not leaving that school. She wasn't staying in that school, and she wasn't leaving that school without you. Okay, thank you. But I think that's a ridiculous policy. That doesn't make any sense. If there's a caretaker that comes and legitimate, you got these blue cards. You got the people's names on the cards. Who can have my kid? Who can't have my kid? And when somebody comes to get my kid, you say they can't have my kid, only the parent. I thought that was ridiculous. But neither here nor there. I digress.
I mean, yeah, not to play devil's advocate, but you know, like we don't know what's going on right now. Like we don't know, like, you know, there's a lot going on. Obviously, that's why these procedures are in place. But I'm pretty sure nobody had, or I can't say nobody, but wasn't no damn school in Coney Island, PS 90, the Edna Cohen school had a fucking safety procedure on what happens if Manhattan is under attack or Brooklyn or the city's under attack. Like that wasn't in their book until September 12th, 2001. So
yeah, because that was wrong. That was no, there is a procedure. When there's a bomb threat or procedure, they lock you down.
Okay, no. Okay, but think about that. It's a bomb threat. We don't know where it is. We don't know what will set it off. Nobody fucking moves.
And like, most schools are a fallout shelter.
Exactly. Shelter. Yeah, so.
But Sandcastle wasn't. But that notwithstanding. Again.
Okay. On with the story. So Joy couldn't pick me up. I got picked up by my uncle. I remember he was like, I remember vividly. We were driving back, and he was like, you know, son, there are bad people in this world, and they do bad things. And like as he's saying it, I'm seeing what looks like snow and debris and papers, and we're pretty far away from the World Trade Center. But you know, if I tell you we're only 12 miles away, some people would be like, oh, that's not that far. But city miles and all types of other shit. We're a good ways away. We still see debris, and I was just confused. And then we get to the bay.
First of all, if you give them a visual, Coney Island across the bay from well, it's basically the Hudson River. The bay feeds into the Hudson River. We can see Manhattan. How about let's go all the way back. Watching the World Trade Center being built, I could see it from Coney Island. I could see it from the water. I could see it from Coney Island. I'm watching this.
Exactly. And by the time I got home, they were
No, I'm watching. I was a kid watching it being built.
No, I'm saying you were a kid watching it being built. I was a kid watching it fall.
Go down.
I didn't see it fall, but by the time we got back home, they were already gone. But all, you know, we can see it. All you saw was,
I could see it.
All you saw was smoke and debris. Yeah, we were all of Malibu. That's what we call our block. All of Malibu was out watching that shit. Like we were sitting on the chains and shit.
We didn't watch it on TV. We watched it live, or as they say, live and in living color. We saw it. It was just you. There are certain points throughout the city, and the 5 boroughs where you can see it. You can see Manhattan. You can see the Manhattan skyline.
Yeah, those are the Manhattan skyline is hard to miss.
Yeah, and from the 5 boroughs you can see it.
Yeah, but okay. So what goes down after that? The towers have collapsed already. They're not letting Joy pick me up. Like, what are you going through? What's going through your mind? You already shut down the job. The job shut down. We're good to go.
I'm on the promenade. Watching the towers fall. Basically, my stomach. I'm talking about it now and again. I got the stomach, the feeling in the pit of my stomach. I still had that same feeling. It was just mortified. It was horrific. It was just horrible. And just like, what next? Who's hitting us? Where and next? Now, the AM radio, 1010 wins. That's what I'm listening to. 1010 wins. Now 1010 wins.
That was mommy shit right there. 1010 wins news. Good
1010 wins. I hated it. I always hated 1010 wins. Here we go with the Pentagon. The Pentagon. I hear about this on the radio. And it's like the commentary on the Flight 93 that fell in that crash landed in Pennsylvania. I felt like we were listening to the cockpit. I felt like it was just like blow by blow, just like, oh my God. And all of this is like in real time. And I'm like, okay, just we're under attack. This is just like Pearl Harbor. This is like, okay, what's next? Now it's like
Okay,
get
so
again,
yeah,
get away from the
so
bridge. Now I'm like, okay, Janine, get in the car, get to Coney Island. Now it's nothing humorous about any of this. There's nothing funny about any of it. You and Joliet broached on the subject when you guys were talking when you did Joliet's uh, interview, but it's not funny. But the general consensus was the ghettos are safe because the Taliban ain't looking to hit nothing more oppressed than them.
yeah, man, I
Okay,
promise you, it wasn't
they ain't
nobody
coming.
coming to no Coney Island,
They wasn't
Bushwick.
coming after the brothers and sisters. Okay, if anything, they would have tried to come and recruit us, but they wasn't coming after
Oh,
their brothers and
yo,
sisters.
I'm about to
So
fuck these Bed-Stuy brownstones up. Nope, wasn't nobody
no,
worried about that
no,
shit.
no, we really weren't. We were worried about the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Central Park West. Or you sons of, I'm gonna kiss your asses goodbye, cause they ain't fucking with the ghettos. Okay, I'm sorry, that's not funny, but that's how I felt. I felt safe in Coney Island. I actually
As
felt safe. Once I got home
yeah,
and looked around at all these colored people, I felt safe.
mentioned, like
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor, like this, it wasn't a question I
Yo.
planned on asking, but I'm rolling with the punches here. So, like, you were there for Pearl Harbor, you were there for some real historic shit in America. So, but like Pearl Harbor, that's huge. So, what was that like
Yeah,
having to watch or listen to Pearl Harbor, and then compare that to 9/11, where
I was
now
a kid. I was
now
a kid. I didn't
the world is
understand it.
watching
Yeah,
you now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It was like I was a kid during Pearl Harbor and all of that, but it was like, yeah, you had to wonder, and everybody at that time had to wonder. Okay, what's the next target? Who's the next target? And you gotta know. And at that time, we lived in Manhattan. You have to know that the the big targets are Washington, New York, San Francisco. The big ones, the big boys, where you can hurt. You can hurt, but mostly out of all of them, I'm sorry, it's New York. It's New York, the financial district, the hub of the nation. I am a New Yorker. I will forever be a New Yorker. I live and breathe New York. I love Manhattan. Absolutely adore it. But scared, scared to be there. Okay, scared that a nuclear bomb or whatever or New York. That's a wrap, and that's a target. No, you have to wonder and have to think about that, and you have to unfortunately be afraid of that ever happening.
So
But
you're driving home, you're listening to the news, we're home by then. By we, I mean myself and my sister, like we're all home and whatnot. And so what was, what was that like coming home? And now you kind of have to, because for, I just to peel the curtain back a little bit for my loyal noodles into my life and growing up in my background, like, my mom was the she was the man of the house in my house. You know what I'm saying? She had to be the mom and the man of the house. I know you guys have heard me mention it before, like my dad wasn't around and shit like that. My uncle stepped up, my grandfather stepped up, and it takes a village, but like in that immediate house in 3378 Bayview Avenue,
no,
it
we
was
were in Holly's house. We
no,
were in Holly's.
I know. I was telling my
Oh, okay.
sister, but I meant like when we came back, we went to Momi's house, which was right around
Yeah,
the corner
yeah,
from where we lived. But
yeah.
in that household, whether it was 3378 or 2696 or 730 or wherever we lived, like my mom was the head of the table, the head of the household and whatnot. So like for you, what was that like where you're coming home and now, like your family, like we're waiting on you to come home. We know you're close to that shit. So, what was that like? You finally made it home and now we're all there.
It, it was of course, I'm not going to cry in front of y'all, which I did not. I didn't cry in front of y'all, but it was the sigh of relief. And it was, okay, now we have to do A, B, C, and D, okay, in case shit gets shut down. Like Joliet observed, all of the bodegas, which are not bodegas, they're Arab stores, they all shut down. Key Food didn't shut down because Key Food wasn't run by Arabs then. Key Food was still, I think it was still Key Food Mandel. That notwithstanding, it didn't shut down. But I think Pathmark shut down. Why, I don't know. But a lot of major places were shutting down because people wanted to get home to their families. Now it's basically staying together, not going too far, straying too far away.
I think me and
I
you
think
went
it's
to Sheepshead that night. I think you went to get gas. I
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I remember. I
yeah.
don't. I don't. Maybe you remember because I don't. I don't remember exactly like what we talked about or like like I don't remember like us having a discussion about it. Not saying we didn't. I don't remember it. I remember
I
talking
know.
to
I
Uncle
don't
Fleming
remember.
and Uncle Jess, and that was
Did
it.
the school shut down? I know my
I
job
I
shut down.
really don't fucking remember.
Yeah, I think
I
the
don't
school
remember
shut down the
September
rest of the
12th,
week.
September 13th, or nothing.
Yeah.
I remember September 11th. I remember that night, me and you, we went to Sheepshead to get gas. And I remember the only reason I remember is because I've never seen New York so empty. I've never heard it so quiet. And I've
Ooh.
never ever seen the sky so black and dark. It was just like
Yeah,
I get it. I
the
get it.
plan.
We're in the city, bright lights. You don't really see a lot of stars, but there was nothing,
But do
nothing
you
in the
remember
sky.
the red hue? There was a
Yes.
red hue over the towers,
Yeah.
but the rest of the sky was black, like the smoke was still looming.
Yeah, and the
It
fire
was
was still
just
there and shit. Like
yeah, just the
it
smell.
was
Well,
tragic.
once they started, I mean, I'm going up ahead, but once they started to clean up and the job site started opening and all of that stuff, and I'm at work or whatever, as I'm going back and forth from Coney Island to the Triborough Bridge, it was the smell that destroyed me. Every day, every day for the entire cleanup, going back and forth, them removing the debris from the site in tractor trailers, and they come over the Gowanus every day. I guess I don't know. I don't think they were coming over the Brooklyn Bridge because the Brooklyn Bridge can't handle the tractor trailer. But I think they were coming over the Manhattan Bridge, and they were driving through to Staten Island, and they had to pass. I had to pass them every day because it was a convoy. It was a constant thing. The smell of the
That
trucks
took
and the
that took
smell,
years to clean up.
yeah, the smell of the smell of Manhattan was, and maybe because as a kid, side story, as a kid, I went to South Carolina and I cropped tobacco and hung tobacco. And when an animal, a small animal or a reptile dies, the smell, the smell of death, you smell it. You smell the body, the carcass. And unfortunately, that smell always stuck with me. So when those trucks started going by me, I'm like, that's not just concrete debris. That's not just dust and paper. That's people. I smell death on these trucks. I smell bodies decaying. It was uh, just that destroyed me in the months to come because there was no escaping it. Everybody keeps saying never forget. How are you gonna forget something like that? Never forget is the most ridiculous catchphrase. It's like saying never forget Pearl Harbor. Are you drunk? Yeah, there's nothing forgettable about that event. There's nothing forgettable about the days and the months to come. There's nothing forgettable about the I'm in my chiropractor's office and there are flyers posted on the front of his desk that say on the front of his reception area. They're searching for people, identifying them by jewelry. How are you looking for your wife and she had this ring on? Okay, look for this piece of jewelry, and if you find this piece, it's like could a construction worker come into that office and see that piece of jewelry and go, oh, I saw that piece of jewelry. I saw somebody with that piece of jewelry. It's like people identifying their loved ones by metals, by precious metals. How there's nothing forgettable about any of it. Any of it.
And this is now 20 years later.
or when they started erecting it, when recently, and my sister, who's an electrician, she worked on it. Again, I was not. I'm my area of construction was heavy construction. I did bridges, tunnels, roadways, trains, and stuff like that. I didn't do buildings. Building is a different labor. So I didn't work on the erection of the World Trade Center. But I did have coworkers there, Teamsters and coworkers there, and there was a piece of metal by a church that was a piece of the World Trade Center, and they left it there to memorialize it. Okay, building it and seeing the metal, like a museum piece in the middle of the street, well, not the middle of the street, but up against the building. And they got a plaque in front of it, and this was a part of the North Tower. You know, it was just, even that was, and that's this years later. It destroyed me. It destroyed me.
You would remember that a lot more vividly than I do. Like, what was that like watching New York get right back up and keep it pushing?
Oh, please. And, you know, and I look back at it and go, New York kept it pushing. I want to say early that evening or 9/11. Because now, okay, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, towers are demolished. I don't know what time the towers fell. Once the dust settled, now New York jumped into action. Okay, so we were rocking and rolling that day. On the 12th, we're getting a little more organized and a little more mobilized, going towards the towers to help with the cleanup. On the 13th, let's get these children back to normalcy. Maybe you guys didn't stay out the week. Maybe you guys did go back to school as early as Thursday. What do you say? What's the name was throwing out the pitch on Saturday or whenever? We started moving or started the ball rolling to keep it moving on 9/11. That day, we started moving. Okay, let's do this, that, the other thing. There was no, we did not stop. I don't think we stopped. If I'm answering the question correctly. And in terms of normalcy, yeah. Once people started rolling back to work and rolling back to their job sites and back to school and back to the city, that week, we were rolling towards normalcy.
Did it take a little while, or are you still even used to like seeing that skyline without the towers? Was that weird? I'm sure that was a little different.
I saw that skyline without the towers.
That's right. You did say you were watching it get built. Yeah.
As a kid, and without the towers, it took getting used to, but it was like, for me, missed, but not missed, because like I said, I saw it before the towers. So a lot of people, believe it or not, found those buildings hideous and didn't like them. I know a lot of people that couldn't stand those buildings. I was like, they're all right. Looks like the number 11. I don't know.
But they go figure. How fitting for the day.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't. They found it an eyesore, and it's I don't know why, but I guess that's your taste or whatever. But a lot of people did not like those buildings. A lot of them didn't like it.
Like, a lot of people don't like the Barclays Center. They don't like how that was designed on the outside.
Aesthetically,
Yeah, it does.
it's not attracting.
It looks a little weird, but they did it because whatever. We're not talking about that anyway. Okay. So one of the last things I'll ask. So it hit home because that is home. So it literally hit home like that. But how close to you was it in terms of the people you knew being affected by it? Like, me and Joy were saying, like, you can walk anywhere you want to in New York City and you'll easily walk past a few thousand people. So, like there's no telling how many people you may know. So, like, do you know people that died in
that perished
that day, or responded or cleaned it up and whatnot?
I dated a fireman from Engine 110, which was on is that Dean Street? It's not Dean Street. Green Street, right there on the foot of the Manhattan Bridge. Why can't I call that street? Just off Flatbush.
It's not Dean Street.
That's not Dean. I don't know. It's right there.
I thought that was Dean Street.
It's right there. I dated.
You're talking about the Manhattan Bridge.
No, yeah, the Manhattan Bridge on the Brooklyn side, the firehouse.
I'm gonna say that's Dean Street, but I'll look it up.
Okay. Yeah, well, I dated Charles, and Charles was a chauffeur. I say was because he recently passed away. I knew Leon. I know Freddie. I knew a few of them. Oh man. I want to say in that firehouse, I knew about 8 of them, or knew of them, or had been in there, had been at a function, a party with them, had been to the firehouse, have sat and had lunch with them at the firehouse or whatever. When I was dating Charles, and Charles survived, and Freddie survived. Charles was there, and he was in the fire truck, and when the building collapsed, Charles was there. So was Freddie. And I'm going to tell you what Charles said to me, because unfortunately he's passed away, God rest his soul. He said, when the buildings fell, when the towers fell, if you go to the left, you live. If you go to the right, you die. And he said he went to the left. Him and Freddie ran to the left. And his co-workers that ran to the right, they all perished. That day, Freddie and Charles, 2 black firemen, were the only ones that survived from Engine 110. And if you look at the wall in Coney Island, there's the names, and some of them have the pictures, the names of the firemen. And you see Leon, and Leon stands out the most because Leon was what an attractive, sweet, just an awesome guy. Just an awesome person. With young daughters, and a wife, and to know that he's gone, and all of the other ones, again, I can't call them by name, but I broke bread with them. And it's a gut punch. It's a gut punch because it's like all of them. Oh, I mean, I'm God. It's like, wow. Thank God Charles survived. Thank God Freddie survived. But all of the rest of them gone. Just like I knew those people. I knew of those people. I broke bread with those people. Just you can't. There's no words for that. There's no words. I have no words for that. Just wow. Just wow. Just you know. You know what I would like to see when TV was available. Because a lot of people don't realize the Twin Towers was the antennas as well as HBO antenna. I think it was cable antennas or whatever the hell.
Yeah, because
we had no television.
I'm about to say we didn't have it at first.
We had no television. But we had channel 68 and maybe one other weird channel. And what those channels were doing was they were walking around the city and they were doing interviews, asking people, what they thought, this, that, the other. And I broached on it earlier with your son. And what I found interesting is when they were questioning the people, just John Q. Public, a lot of John Q. Public's words were, and their question was, I understand what these people did. I understand that they're terrorists. But what did America do to them that made them do this to us?
Right.
And I found that question, to say that it was days, during the days of, they asked they interviewed people on September 11th, September 12th, September 13th, September 14th. And each and every time I'm sitting there watching the news and I'm listening to people talk, and I watched it for hours. Different people from different backgrounds, from different walks of life. One or two of them would ask, what did we do? That shit messed me up. That fucked my head up.
Yeah, that
fucked my head up, because I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That people
like,
have the
how did we get to this point? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It wasn't out of nowhere. It wasn't no bullshit. It wasn't out of nowhere. Where did this come from? And that's when I had a newfound respect for my country, in that I'm glad that we are not all sheep, and that we're not all followers, and that we do have presence of mind to ask the question, okay, and where did this come from?
Right. So
okay.
Why?
I'm not no fucking retard. They didn't just up and do this for no reason out of nowhere. Okay. Stop it. If you want us to believe that, just stop it. But I have to mention the unity.
Yeah, that was real.
The love of each other. The sense of, you are my brother, my sister, you are my blood. That I felt from every New Yorker, I want to say every American had to be feeling the same thing. The love for each other.
Yeah.
The unity, the brotherhood, the look out for one another was overwhelming. And I think in terms of psychologically, emotionally, I think that helped to carry all of us through. That we came together.
Yeah, that was a good, healthy time for America.
Of unity.
Yeah. I think unity. Well, I will say of unity for all but one demographic. I will say that I do remember like
no.
I remember like those.
They beat up on the Arabs for a minute, and then all of a sudden they had to realize, yo, this motherfucker's my friend. This ain't the enemy.
Yeah.
This Arab right here is my friend.
It was some real weird shit though at one point in time, like the cab drivers in Coney Island, like there wasn't cabs and shit because they was getting like not abused and whatnot, but they were getting harassed. And yeah, like I've said it before on the podcast, like every demographic of people are in New York. Every single demographic. The only demographic of people not in New York are Southerners, and we don't give a fuck. But
we don't miss y'all.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. Anyway, I love my Southerners. I'm from New York, so you basically south of Virginia, dog. You in the South, and Virginia's a little sketchy.
Okay.
So I'll say the south of DMV. I got you. You in the south of Maryland, DMV, Delaware. You in the South, bro. With that being said, thank you, Mom, for coming on the show and telling your story.
You're welcome, Scrag.
Oh my God. It was
Scrag, I did.
I'm sure it was I'm sure, as we can all get the vibe, it just wasn't a easy day to endure for anybody. I don't think anybody like slept easily that night, at least not most New Yorkers.
I can't believe I went through it without crying. I feel like such a big girl.
Proud of you.
Me too.
Thank you for telling the story. Thank you, Loyal Noodles, for tuning in to the Good Noodles podcast.
Your grandfather was standing in the middle of J Street and Borough Hall watching it.
Oh, he was watching all
That's
of
where
it.
he was.
He was
He was
chilling.
watching it. Yeah.
Hands in his pockets and shit, probably.
Holding some woman who was crying hysterically.
Oh,
Some stranger.
Come on now.
Yeah, well,
y'all know. Yeah, see, I'm Willie Knight first of his name, but Joseph Fleming Knight, that boy, that boy was different.
Excuse me. My father was a whore. Wait a minute. And a pimp. Not in real life, but he was a whorish pimp.
Papa was a Rolling Stone out here.
Okay. It was the man.
Oh man.
Did you know that? I meant to tell you that. Did you know that?
About 9/11?
Where he was?
I feel like you might have mentioned that before. I don't remember it though. Like it never crossed my mind because I knew he was good.
That's it, where he was consoling hysterical women. Yeah.
Hey, you don't gotta bring sand to the beach, baby. It's here already. Again, thank you, Ma, for coming on the show, telling your side of the story, just opening the eyes, the ears, and just creating the vision for those that weren't there, those that are curious, like one day in the future, the Good News podcast is going to be some teenager or young kid or whatever that's watching the show. I'm not saying the show is for kids, but they gonna watch. It's public on YouTube, Spotify, all types of stuff. So they gonna access it. They gonna listen and be like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Like, so thank you for telling the story. I know it's not an easy story to tell.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you. On behalf of the Good Noodles podcast, we love you, Ma. On behalf of myself and my mom, we just want to
tell all my children I said hi.
I'm gonna let them know. On behalf of myself and my mom and the Good News podcast, we just want to say thank you to all the first responders. Thank you to all the service members that have went across the pond between then and now. Those that have served before me, leaders that I have served with, my own wife that has served in Afghanistan, that is deployed and fought this fight that essentially kicked off on that day. Thank you to everybody. Mr. Bill Gore, again, thank you so much for all that you do. I'm glad you're here to tell the story of yourself and your dad. I'm glad I got to meet your dad. Like, felt like meeting a fucking celebrity. But thank you, everybody, again, on behalf of my mom and the Good Noodles podcast. Thank you. And we'll see you for the next episode.